This is Captain Sparrow and Swan here. Yes, as you can see, there is a big mast behind me. This is the mast that we had laying on top deck that we had built by hand, glued together, faired, and everything. There it is, and there's a beautiful swan. We right now, as you can see, are working on the rigging, the Dynema, and yes, that is a chain fall. That chain fall is up to 2 tons, and my rigging holds 38,000 pounds, and that mast with strength tests has quite a lot of bending force to it and quite a lot of strength. I have to be careful so that I don't explode it, but also it is also encased in fiberglass. So upon that, what I'm doing is watching the measurements, and I'm cinching one side down, putting a 15-degree bow in it. Let me get a better look here. Alright, so I'm putting a 15-degree bow on it, so you can see right there. 15-degree bow up to the top. And then I'm cinching this side down right here and pulling it down. So I'm cinching this side, and then I'm cinching this side to complete it. And in turn, what I'm getting is a movement of only, you got to measure your movement. So the head of that mast right there, clear over, is only a 2-inch movement. That's all I can accept through it because it doesn't stretch. But you have to put that movement into it so that you don't rip out your chain plates. I've seen multiple videos of people ripping out their chain plates or their hulls splitting in half. The catamarans, their hulls splitting in half. A lot of that comes from, all right, let me cinch this all the way down. It doesn't stretch. Steel still stretches. This stuff does not. So you have to put that into factor. I'm going to hand this to Swan, and we're going to try again. In the last 2 videos, I made the shackle right here. That came apart. This time, I've ensured that both shackles hopefully won't come apart. Did this come apart again?
It did.
How is it coming apart? So we're just going to tie a bunch of knots into it because Dyneema does not stretch or doesn't tie very well. So you kind of got to put a bunch of knots against each other into it, I guess. Tired of it coming apart. Came apart on me like 5 times so far. None of the other screws did this. These front 2 never did this part. We're just now coming into acceptance of why it's doing it for itself. And again, we're trying to get that 6 inches of stretch come through. You look at that 2-inch movement. You gotta factor in that all of a sudden this one, yes, does come loose because we're gonna tighten at all 4 corners. So when this happens,
Here, let me over here where we can see.
and all I'm doing is 3 reps. Dyneema and splicing it back into itself. The half hitch stopping it in the middle. So what I'll do is I'll come down here. Kind of just separate it apart like this. I'll come down here so you can see. Kind of, I've been using a coat hanger. I went and bought the fancy dancy Dyneema fid and rope fid, and it wasn't quite working to my ability. So I went ahead and went to the dollar store, got one of those handy dandy $1 metal coat hanger parcels, put it together and bent the end tight, and it works better than that one does. Which everybody has their perspective, but mine is simply this one, because it gives me more of a feel to be able to work with it. Now that everything's tight. It also gives you a lot more room to work with this part. This new Dyneema that I'm using is supposed to hold 5,300 pounds, and I see exactly why, because it does not like to move up this thing into itself. You just got it inch by inch by inch. Well, with this, it's centimeter by centimeter. The bigger Dyneema you get, the more inch by inch you get. But the longer this takes, the more, I can sit here and wait and let this half-inch stretch, because the Deadeye system that I was using just to stretch it, I'm not quite sure my strength is quite as high as this is. So how this Dyneema works is it's got a Chinese finger trap set up that when this gets tension on it and you work it really well, this gets tension on it and it creates a Chinese finger trap. So let's see if I can kind of work its magic here. Get all those fibers intertwining into each other. Each one I've done, I've always just done the half hitch. Into it, pull it tight against itself, and then I half hitched, pulled it up. I half hitched this side just to make myself feel better, gives it a better look. And from there, I go check my degrees. Alright, it needs to come by a little bit further. And this is just to substitute the spring that it's going to have, because it's going to have a little bit of spring to it as it returns back to its normal, where its resting place is. gets loose. Now this one's tight again. Just gonna do 2 half hitches. Just had a fun day with this one. Loosen that one up. That's gonna be loose though, because I forgot to do it. That's plenty big enough for that one. And this piece, just tail up there. And it's getting it all hooked up. It takes the longest time. You know, these little shackles here takes the longest time to hook up. Just because you want it permanent, but once it becomes permanent, it's easy to adjust. It's quick and simple, 2 hooks. Hook it up, and then your splice right here, your Chinese finger trap, it holds for quite a long time. And it's not originally supposed to come undone. These originally were the idea just to give the Dyneema to stretch. The 6 inches that it needed to stretch. And it worked for a while, and then it stopped stretching. And I can only hold so much strength. So what we do is we take these apart, and then we hook the old ones in. Handy dandy friction tape idea. Can you hear me that now?
Mm-hmm.
After you break the tip off every night, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, another little addition that we had to the boat. I'm going to take you over here to the helm I had built. This helm right here is completely built out of ironwood and mahogany. full conductive steering with the auxiliary GPS. Hooked up and loaded. All hand welded down to the rod. All of that hooked up with a little bearing in it. And my homemade hatches to it. I built that all up to sturdiness, huh? Yeah. And hooked everything up and got all of my anchor and everything hooked up over here, locked down. I have a 80-pound and a 66-pound hooked up and ready to go with the windlass and all of that hooked up. And yes, the solar panels. Swan helped me hook these up the other day. See if we can go down there and show you what that looks like. Which is actually really kind of neat. So I got this hooked up right here. Showing me 13.0. I push this button. Tells me I'm only running 0.1 amp and using 1.3 amps. That's fine. Okay. Yeah. My aft lights and everything were on. Hooked up my new barometer and clock. And my mast step goes down and locks that in completely and set that up for the step. It worked really, really well. On up to everything. We hooked it all up, got it all set up. And other than that, we're going to let you go and I'm going to get back to work. I'll catch you guys later.